if I'm gonna even finish it today, but it would be nice to start. There we go. I'm just trying to get to the post right fast. Just understand where this coming from. Damn, we've been texting a little bit more than I thought. Just trying to find this motherfucker. I'm scrolling, scrolling, scrolling. Here we go. So, the original post is actually from the Creed 3 movie. Um, this is where the content comes from. It's from a still of what's my man's name? Jonathan Majors. He embracing uh he embracing my man Wallace. Like that's his brother, you know. There's nothing foul or out the way about it, but you know, for me and to show affection, it make people feel some type of way. So I'm not even going to shout out who said it's the reason why they didn't go see Creed. But the post is saying we are our own worst enemies. SMH. I tell all my homies I love them. Why? Because I do. Sometimes it throws them off, but I don't care. I'm going to keep saying that ish. Tomorrow ain't promised. We all getting older, man, and death is definitely certain. It's already hard out here for black women. Ooh, I got to go back to school because for some reason I didn't read that right at all. It's already hard enough out here for black men as it is, bro. You can't even show love or accept it without your own trying to make it out to be something else. I don't know Michael B. Jordan, but I know losing Chadwick was hard on him. Cause shit was hard on all of us. Facts. We felt that, man. We clowned that man before he died, not even knowing how sick he really was. Maybe Jonathan came into Mike's life when he needed a friend, a brother. How come men can't have healthy relationships with other men without their masculinity or sexuality being questioned? I put up a post last week saying black men it's okay to smile in your pictures and got nothing but dudes saying, nah, I don't do that ish. You don't do what? Smile? You don't see nothing wrong with that? Man, the times we living in goofy as fuck. Y'all got it. When you die and your family don't have one picture of you smiling, you got it, bro. Hardest obituary picture ever. You won. So that is really the jumping off point for getting me back behind the mic. And that's because I had a whole lot of issues over the past 2 years. Um, a lot of it stemming from what I was going through in my own life, and then it just extended to what was happening in the lives around me in the world. And I got triggered by that post for a lot of reasons, and they all have to do with the way that men are struggling. Um, I could pull up the suicide rates, and you know, being a black man, of course, we see a alarming increase in the suicide numbers for black men, but it's because we don't have outlets. We don't have people that care. We don't have people that show us it's okay to just be human. This thing about women being the only emotional creatures is ridiculous. But you know we all got raised. You don't get to cry. You don't get to feel. You got to suck it up. And people will call not just men. I mean black women. I've been called a bitch by more black women than black men in my life. As much as black women love on us and support us and take care of us and everything else, there's another segment of black women that are so toxic in just the philosophy that they walk around with. That you having feelings makes you some type of weak or inferior specimen. They won't even give you the title of a man. They will call you a bitch in a second. Man, I dealt with this my whole life because I think um, my cousin used the word sentient to describe my Instagram stories. Like it's kind of a thing. And that's because I kind of just ride the wave of my feelings and I kind of let that it's like the wind carrying me. I kind of let that just take me wherever I'm going. So you will catch different moods, and it's not like a tear fest. I don't even mean to make it sound like that, but I've been through a different range of emotions and expressed that. I use, especially music, I use that as like my vehicle to kind of express whatever it is that I'm feeling, and I think that's because like the the comfort I felt with the stories is really what the comfort I felt with the I'm sorry, I'm distracted by messages. The comfort I felt with the stories is what got me into a safe space to be able to just express myself. And oddly enough, I started getting responses when really I was telling people like I was only using it as an outlet. But like through that vehicle I found that um, especially a lot of men, they found some kind of like common ground in the post that I was like putting up. Some of it was like using other posts or music videos. Sometimes it was just me venting. But um in all of this that's happening, man, I just understand that like we really need a safe space. And it's a damn shame that home can't be a safe space because you're going home to somebody that is putting even more stress and pressure on you to just be. Like when you can't, I don't mean come home and take out your anger and frustrations. Like that was the toxic way of doing things in the past. I think people are actually trying to figure out how to exist and deal with these emotions. And emotional intelligence on one end, I think a lot of people are growing into it, starting to understand things in a better way, and that's a beautiful thing for our future, right? In humanity, our existence here, we have to be able to understand these emotions and unpack them in an intelligent way, in a safe way, in a way that's productive. Um, so like those kind of comments, I keep falling on the words productive and unproductive because they just seem to describe what's happening like perfectly. Like you have on one end, and that's why it's kind of hard to pay attention to social media because it's like the Twilight Zone. You have like real people out here going through real things. Um, but with the real people, it's tangible. You can talk to them. You find that a lot of the conversations you have off of social media are a lot different than what's happening on there. So it's kind of hard to even take it seriously. But since it has such an effect on the psyches, and you see the way that even that's affecting depression, we really got to talk about it. And these conversations are being brought up and circulated in all different kind of spaces. So even if it wasn't a real thing, it's becoming real because of the way that we it's becoming a real thing because of the way that we like circulate this information and these conversations. Um, Suicide is a sensitive subject for me. Not only because I've had my own bouts with not the act of trying to take myself out, but definitely the thoughts. Um, just the stress of life. I got to a couple of different points in life where I just didn't want to do it no more. And I know I've said like I don't need motivation to keep living. That's at this point now. But there was a time when I needed all the love and support that I could find, and I would take it from anywhere because I didn't feel it. I didn't know I had it. I didn't know that there was people that was actually willing to lend a hand or just the ear. Give me a hug. You know, I didn't know how much I needed a hug. Um, Now this world is crazy, and sometimes, um, just the relief of that physical touch will be enough to just get you through whatever hard time you're going through. Sometimes you just need somebody to listen. So I know that black people just started going to therapy last week. Right, we just got comfortable enough to start going to therapy, and now we got all kind of advice for people on who they need to see, who they need to talk to. Even with that, I would kind of remind people that we're not in the space right now where everybody is that comfortable to jump on the couch and start talking to a stranger. It's a whole process in finding somebody that you're comfortable enough to talk to, and that's why we look for people that are close to us to have these conversations with. If you're not willing to have that conversation, like it would be better for you to just say that. And if you really care, find somebody that actually will talk to that person instead of it's a better idea to like help that person find a little bit of help instead of um the critical direction that people take where um it's people that don't want you dumping their problems on them. They're not really equipped to handle that, and that's fair. I went to college for psychology and childhood development. More so with the childhood development part, is something that I just kind of discovered I was interested in. But I mean, as far as psychology as a whole, like just the broad spectrum of psychology and the study and the science of the human mind, um, that was something that I found in high school, and I knew that's if I was gonna go to college, that's what I wanted to go for. And so I found in a lot of the different classes that I was in, it wasn't necessarily like, of course, I learned, but a lot of times it wasn't necessarily that I was like grabbing a whole bunch of new information. It was more so just putting definitions on the things that I already understood. So I'm like, oh, okay, that's what you call it. Um, but that's another part. Like that field is something that I kind of gravitated to. It's naturally there. So I'm always interested in like how a person's mind is working, what's going on behind the scenes. Um, so I pay attention to people. And part of this subject that made it so tough for me is that I could see what was happening with a family member of mine, and this is years ago. And I held off on talking about this subject just out of respect for the people in our family that were closer to him, siblings and the like. But um, to be honest, I lost a brother myself, even though he was a cousin. Um, that was my brother too, and in dealing with my own pain, I can't even imagine because I wasn't there for every step of his life, but I was such a part of his life. He was such a part of mine. I got all kind of events that he was there for. I remember him being there just like one of my siblings. That's why I don't make a separation. That was like my brother. Like that was my brother. Um, so when people around me were finding out that he died, they wanted to know what happened, and I couldn't even speak on it again out of respect for his immediate family, but also because it was so hard to even talk about that. My family member, my cousin, my brother was having such a hard time with life that he felt like the best option was to end it, and uh, he kind of hurt my feelings because I reached out to him many times. You could see through his posts, through his actions, through his demeanor, like something just wasn't right. But um, I don't know. I still haven't been able to make sense of that. Um, it's a challenge when I sit back and think about it to just be okay with it. I don't have the answers to everything, but that's one that I'm still struggling with to this day. And damn, I actually said it out loud without the emotions. So, like I said, I think I'm finally getting to the point where I'm okay enough to move forward. Like this is a big step for me, and not to make it about me, but um, my family is just one of the families dealing with the aftermath of suicide. Um, I also know other people that are going through the same thing. They've had family members where, for whatever reason, one day they just decided that that was the day and it was over. And uh, what do you say? How do you console the family? How do you get that consolation within yourself? I still don't have the answer for that. I do know people that I can talk to who can relate on the subject, but man, grief is grief is man. I don't even know how to describe it. There's been so many times where I thought I was okay, and I found out like it was just the it was just on pause. I was at a point where I could just breathe, but I wasn't really okay. Still not okay. I'm just a little better about handling it. So, um, no, I take it real personal when I see just the apathy, just how cold people are in this world, and just the lack of overall care they have for our well-being. We care so much about women, which is also bullshit because so many women are abused, so many women go missing, and we don't do a damn thing about it. We're just selective in our outrage and what it is we choose to pay attention to. Um, so on this topic, it's one of the reasons why I've been kind of pushed to talk to the men more because if we don't have a safe space, then let's create one. Like that's a part of the vision that I want to like bring to life. I want to create a space for us to know that it's safe, to know that it's okay, to be able to let it out. I don't have to be crying, but if that's what you got to do, I'm not gonna judge you for it because it's real life, man. It's real pain. And although I think we overuse the word trauma, it might be because I've been through so much that I'm almost numb to it. Sometimes I can't even recognize trauma for what it is at times because I've been through and seen so much of it in my life. Um, I'm not always the best person to go to talk about trauma because my idea of it is that it's an overused term. But even in saying that, that's just a part of the experience that I've had to like reason with within myself. Like this life is hard, and there are times where I sit down and think about all of the things that I've been through. That's when I get like a rush. So sometimes you actually do have to compartmentalize and package all of that stuff up and put it to the side. You will get to that later because you got to be able to make it through the day. Now, I'm not saying be an emotional wreck where you can't function, but we got to find some balance. And I think if you have that archaic mindset that men are not to have emotions or show emotions, then you might want to sit this one out because I don't want to talk to you. We need somebody to talk to. And if it's not you, then kindly move out of the way. I don't have no problem moving you out the way. Like this is not your time. Like that's a day that's over and done with. We got to be able to. Everybody's so happy, healed, and whole until it's time to actually do the healing. Right? We need healing, and I'm willing to be one of the people to get it going. Let's start healing. like now. I love you.